is it not enough that we already suffer in World of Warcraft as it is, waiting for a new expansion, and apparently China is getting ahead of us? What is that? Like, why are they getting a better version of the game? I want to play that version. It's insane. I heard a lot of things about it.
China is massive. Back in the 2000s, nearly 1 out of every 3 Warcraft players was from China. It's a huge region with hundreds of servers, thousands of stories, and most importantly, a ton of differences from the global version of the game. However, due to the relative isolation of Chinese Warcraft players, stories from over there rarely reach us, which is a shame because there's so much interesting stuff going on. Today, I want to open that door just a crack and talk about some of the wild scandals, dramas, and curious differences between the Chinese version and ours, as well as what's even happening over there right now. The Chinese and global versions of Warcraft have an insane number of differences. In the past, as I'm sure many of you have heard, the main difference was the character models. In the Chinese client, they were simplified and censored so that the
Bruh, they turned Sindragosa into a normal dragon? Damn, that's crazy. Okay, it's not Sindragosa, it's just like a normal, like, Wrath of the Lich King Drake, but God bless. Okay, this takes a lot from the experience, let me tell you that.
local censorship.
It kind of defeats the entire purpose of Wrath of the Lich King. What did they get? Wrath of the Grain King?
Board would let World of Warcraft into the country's market. One way or another, you've probably seen how certain models in the game differ, but here are a couple of just funny examples. Skeletons quickly came under fire from censors because the theme of death wasn't really encouraged.
Oh, did you know
in
that Terra
China.
was made by
This
ex-Guild
led
Wars
to the
students,
appearance
really?
of straw scarecrows, which replaced skeletons on altars, in crypts, and in basements. The corpses of fallen heroes in battle could also turn into scarecrows, and the more you run around the world, the more absurd it looks. See coffins? Straw scarecrows are sticking out of them.
World of Scarecrow. Wait, that's actually kind of cool. Okay, that's good. That's actually kind of funny. But it looks so out of place. You think every single place is Westfall.
Looked particularly bizarre in Outland. The warlocks of the Shadow Council are up to no good again, hatching sinister plans and performing a dark ritual on a scarecrow. And hilariously enough, right next to the ritual site sits an actual skeleton that the censors at Blizzard likely missed by accident. Next to the ritual spot stands a small statue.
Bro, what is that? What is that even? What am I looking at? At this point, just remove the entire model. What's the point of censoring this? It just looks so ridiculous. What is that? God of Fortune? Oh, it's supposed to be like grain, actually. I thought it was like pile of gold. Okay, that's, that's just weird.
Our global version, it's a statue of a robed skeleton holding 2 skulls. In the Chinese version, instead of skulls, it's literally holding sacks of grain. Beyond the models, the Chinese region has a ton of exclusive rewards, events, and promotions. While back in the 2000s, this was limited to just a couple of exclusive pets. Nowadays, things have reached the point where they have entire custom game modes. The most famous one is Titan Reforged, a sort of classic version of the game that combines several expansions at once. Vanilla, The Burning Crusade, and Wrath of the Lich King. All high-level content is scaled to the maximum level 80. Raids unlock gradually, and not necessarily in chronological order. For example, Vanilla's Zul'Gurub and Trial of the Crusader from Wrath of the Lich King become available during the same phase, both tuned for level 80. On top,
they got Classic Plus before we do? What? Dude, that's crazy! What the hell is going on there? Why are we not getting such fun things? What the fuck? What? That's insane!
Of that, every week a random raid from across the 3 expansions is chosen to become available as well. The mode also introduced exclusive achievements, the ability to upgrade legendaries, and new currencies for reputation rewards. They even added a unique mount, Ashen Cataclysm, which uses Deathwing's model. Circling around the dragon.
I hate Blizzard. Man, I hate Blizzard so much. Guys, you will never be able to comprehend how much my disdain for Blizzard is. Like, you will never get it.
Are a few small whelps that serve as a blacksmith and a reagent vendor. As the icing on the cake, a new legendary blade appeared in the game, Malvolos, Shard of the Defiler. On proc, the blade inflicts a random debuff on the enemy and transforms the wielder into a demon.
What the fuck?
Granting
That's
an
sick!
extra attack power bonus for a few seconds. Another exclusive event took place during the Lunar New Year in early 2026. During the event, players could earn a boatload of rewards, mounts, toys, and cool items. There was also an option to buy loot boxes, 8 of them for 135 bucks. These loot
Of course. Yeah. Okay, this is the part I've been expecting, more or less. Yeah, that makes sense. Wait, what is that? The loot box in 2025 was brought back with new rewards? Obtain up to 8 boxes for what? 135 US dollars, while teaming up with other players and collectively spend at least $400. Each member will receive additional 4 boxes as a bonus, and you have 1.25% chance to get the following mounts. Whoa, I have to buy it. It's so cool. Oh my god, I need it. Let's see, 98% to get what? Azura Drakefire, Sandbox Horse, and Path of Cenarius. Surely these are valuable items.
boxes contained high-value rewards such as the Spectral Tiger, the Love Rocket, and the previously mentioned Ashen Cataclysm with flying vendor whelp dragons. The drop rate for these prized mounts was 1.25%. With a nearly 99% chance, players would just get vendor trash. To celebrate the Lunar New Year, the Chinese community decided to host a 1-hour gala livestream featuring fan performances, cosplays, fan animations, and local Warcraft memes. No joke, respect to them for that kind of initiative, it was genuinely cool. Chinese Warcraft also hosts more unusual promotions, one of which was basically snitch on your neighbor and get a free mount. A couple of years ago, the Chinese publisher NetEase came up with an event. For reporting players who broke game rules, you were awarded special points that could be spent on items in the Blizzard shop.
Based.
To make it even more fun, NetEase even put up a leaderboard of the top snitches. The top reporter received 1,300 points, second place got 1,000, and third place got 700.
They did a chart of snitching? That's so good! Oh my god, no way! Imagine being a top snitch. That's crazy. I bet the top kick streamer was probably like top 3. That's crazy. Now they will be good at it. Dude, that's insane. I can't believe they actually did that. How did we not heard of this until now? That's crazy.
On top of that, if players provided NetEase with solid proof of cheats, botting software, or other illegal programs that led to criminal charges, they received a bonus of $15,000.
Wait, what?
Legal programs that led to NetEase with solid proof of cheats, botting software, or other illegal programs that led to criminal charges, they received a bonus of $15,000.
When he said criminal charges, he means in real life? Over a video game? Or am I like missing something? Am I like misunderstanding? What do you mean legal charges? Over like using cheats in video games? Is this like a real life problem over there? Or I don't know. That sounds kind of extensive.
Why turn player reports into a full-blown competition? Jokes about snitching aside, my guess is
cheating in games is against the law there? Dude, you can get prosecuted for cheating? Oh my god. Wouldn't people just make accounts to hack on and report? You're thinking too meta. But you're absolutely right. Even though they can catch your IP or something, right? Unless you can, like, hide it. But that's insane. Okay, I actually didn't know that. We need that in the US for sure. You're gonna have incarceration levels of like 100%. Yeah, if you do this in Eastern Europe, the entire country is going to be on lockdown. Like every single country. The entire continent is just going to be abolished.
NetEase was trying to combat the massive botting problem. By offering these incentives, they hope to spot as
you need ID to make an account, right? I forgot.
Many bots as possible and ban them. How effective this campaign was is up for debate, but the very fact that it existed, complete with a leaderboard for top reporters, is pretty mind-boggling. Top-tier players in China could earn even bigger money. Normally, Blizzard doesn't offer any cash prizes for winning the race to World First. All raiders get is glory, support from sponsors, and viewers. But in China, the situation is different. As many of you know, due to disagreements between Blizzard and NetEase a few years ago, Warcraft became unavailable in China
I still remember when they tore up the Blizzard statue. I remember that. Man, that was so funny. I bet Bobby Kotick heart actually dropped to the floor. Well, he doesn't really have one, I think, so maybe nothing happened. His wallet just became a little bit emptier.
For a while. When the companies finally resolved their conflict and signed a new contract, the Chinese publisher celebrated Warcraft's return to the market with a lavish event. Any Chinese guild that takes first place in the race to world first would receive a massive prize, around $150,000 at the current exchange rate. What's more, if no one managed to clear the raid and claim the prize, the reward would increase by 30,000 bucks with every new raid tier. Nothing like this had ever happened in World of Warcraft before. For NetEase, this was probably a win-win bet. Chinese guilds had never taken first place in the race to world first. Sure, they'd come close at times, breaking into the top 5, but they had never reached the #1 spot in the entire 20-year history of Warcraft. So NetEase generated massive media headlines without spending a single dime. By the time of midnight, the potential bounty had grown from $150,000 to $230,000, and it will likely keep rising with future raid content releases. Later on, to be fair, the reward program was expanded to include other top spots. For reaching the global top 3, guilds received a $75,000 bonus, which is still huge. Since Chinese guilds had actually made the top 3 in the past, this was a much more realistic goal. Furthermore, China received its own dedicated Hall of Fame. The top 50 Chinese guilds to enter it received exclusive physical rewards. Exactly what those rewards are is unknown, but there's nothing even remotely like this in other regions.
I mean, that's kind of cool, but you're turning the game way too competitive. Though I guess they, like, literally do not care. This is something I wouldn't like to see, really, in, like, the Western version of the game. I think it's just, like, turning the entire MMORPG scene into essentially an esport, and I think that's the worst thing you can do for the game. Because World of Warcraft isn't supposed to be like that. World of Warcraft should just be fun for everyone, and if a top guild wants to, you know, be like top of the charts, great, they can go for it, but offering such a heavy cash reward is just incentivizing people to become more sweaty. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm not gonna lie. But I guess they don't care there. Someone, oh hey, there goes Shaman, how do you do?
Where you get nothing beyond a pat on the back and an achievement. A few months ago, 2 Chinese guilds, WoGo Hero and JTH, claimed the top 3 rewards at the same time. Both earned $75,000 each for placing 2nd and 3rd place respectively in the race to world first in midnight. But were there ever attempts by Chinese guilds to push for top 1? In the past, there definitely were. One of the most ambitious and interesting attempts took place in Shadowlands. Unfortunately, this push for global top ranks ended in a massive scandal and the disbandment of the guild. But let's take it step by step. Team Aster is a major esports organization that has teams in other games, like Counter-Strike and Dota. One of the organization's leaders was a big long-time Warcraft fan, at least according to him. He decided to form a World of Warcraft roster with a very ambitious goal, to become the top 1 guild in China and break into the top of the global rankings. The organization poured serious money and resources into making their Warcraft roster succeed. They poached top players from other guilds and even paid their members pretty solid salaries by Chinese standards, averaging around $3,000 a month for the players, managers, and support staff. On paper, the guild had everything, the best resources, financial backing so they didn't have to worry about getting regular jobs, a whole support team, and an entire esports organization behind them. But something went wrong.
Imagine paying someone to kill the jailer. My god, I would have been embarrassed at the thought of it. I would have shuddered. What is that? Wait, whoa, they take it very seriously over there. Jesus, that's crazy. Do you have a guild in Guild Wars 2? Yeah. In China, is China going to get the actual Classic Plus when it releases? More than likely. Do you really think they're gonna leave them out? They're probably gonna get more than us. They already sort of do.
The guild began its climb to the top in the Shadowlands expansion, and overall, things started off fairly well. In Sanctum of Domination, they managed to be the first in the world to clear the raid's final boss, Sylvanus Windrunner, on heroic difficulty. They beat out top guilds like Method, Limit, and Echo. Sure, it was heroic, and the real brawl was supposed to start on Mythic difficulty, but it was still a great result. On Mythic, while they didn't break into the top 5 guilds to clear the raid, they still put on a great performance, especially for a newly formed team. After all, even top players need time to find common ground, align their playstyles, and build proper communication, so it would have been strange if they burst into the Sanctum of Domination race and took first place right off the bat. But the start was promising. The scale was impressive too. The players of Team Aster weren't streaming their mythic progression from some basement, but from a full-fledged esports arena with guild members staying in nice hotels.
By the way, I'm sorry it's kind of random, but streamer house will never not be cringe. Like content houses, you know, team esport houses, like that will always be cringe. Always. It always was cringe. People thought it used to be cool back in the day. For a certain time period, so have I gotta be honest, but it's like, now looking back at this, bro, do you really want to spend, like, a good chunk of your life, like let's say around 2 years at minimum, like 5 years probably at most, until you like grow old and bold, and it's like with other 4 sweaty dudes just grinding it out on a video game each day? Like, that's not a life, brother. That's not life. That's crazy.
Hotel rooms paid for by the org, their MDI roster, which competed in Mythic Plus tournaments, also
Sounds
performed
amazing.
quite well in Season 2 of the Shadowlands MDI. They made it to the finals to face off against another top team, Echo. They didn't manage to win, but they took a respectable second place and earned a cool $60,000 in prize money. So what went wrong if everything looked great on paper and they were showing decent results? Internal drama. It's not enough to throw cash around and gather a bunch of top players from the region into one guild. You also need synergy and mutual respect among the members. The guild started sinking in scandals between its members. Here are just a few funny examples. One of the members rage quit the guild right in the middle of the Sanctum of Domination race because he was upset about being benched, which meant he would earn less money.
Chad, holy! Like, oh, you think I'm going to earn less? F you, dog. Like, instantly quits in the middle of the raid. God damn it. Don't let them keep you down, King.
Later, the raid leader went on stream and started blaming the viewers for the raiders not having good enough gear. He literally found scapegoats among the regular audience watching them. My guess is he blew his stack because not enough people were joining their split raids. Later, he broke down in tears on stream, apologizing to the viewers. Soon after, another drama surfaced. One of the new guild members wasn't fitting in well with the group, facing constant accusations and jabs even for the smallest mistakes. One day, after yet another attempt to belittle him, he snapped and threw punches at his guildmate. They had to be pulled apart to stop a full fight, and there were plenty of conflicts like that. Sure, the race to world first is inherently stressful, but this drama went way too far. At the end of Shadowlands...
Yeah, because there's like huge chunk of money involved. Of course, nobody would have taken that this seriously if like it was just, you know, for a title, right? Because there's always a next raid to chase. But since there's like a heavy cash reward on, like, you know, the top 3 places, like, you really want to make it to the top. So naturally, it just brings the worst out of people. And that's for this exact same reason I said earlier. This is why World of Warcraft should never be an esport, or any MMORPG for that matter. Because you cultivate a very toxic community that prioritizes inhuman behavior and just, you know, try to reach to the top. Basically like late stage, like ultra giga late stage capitalism. Okay, like this is never a good thing. And it's not like, you know, an anti-capitalist thing to say, right? It's just like, it's reality. You do what you can to basically cannibalize on the dude below you just to reach the top. That is a very unhealthy pattern for an MMORPG, because MMORPGs are inherently social games. And you want to cultivate the social aspect rather than the individuality.
After completing the race for the expansion's final raid, the guild disbanded, and the attempt to build a commercial guild by poaching the best raiders in all of China completely failed. How much money was actually spent on this venture? A figure floating around on Warcraft fan sites was about $1.4 million, and that was in just 1 year. That's insanely expensive. I think another reason the guild collapsed was the utter lack of hope to recoup that money. You don't get anything from the race to World First itself. Blizzard doesn't give out any prizes for first place. This isn't Dota or Counter-Strike with massive prize pools. Even if they had claimed the rewards that NetEase began offering after Warcraft's return to the Chinese market, around $150,000, it wouldn't have recouped even a quarter of their expenses. Could sponsors step in during a major event? In theory, yes. But would sponsor money be enough to pay every member an average of $3,000 a month, cover arena live streams, book nice hotels, and maintain support staff? Highly unlikely. One
I mean, they could just get a job.
Warcraft is good, but several are even better.
Just a thought.
Taking advantage of the fact
Think
that
about
it's
it.
harder for Blizzard to reach enterprising Chinese developers than European or American ones, they created their own Warcraft clones. And not just making something similar with a twist, they copied it one-to-one, which in my opinion is utterly outrageous.
What the
For
hell?
example, how do you like this game? Don't the heroes of this mobile game look familiar? To the naked eye, it's clear that the mobile character
Bro, is that Varian Taronda? I'm assuming that's Grom and like Gul'dan in the background. What in God's name is that? That's Shameless. They even got Turtle WoW. He's riding a turtle. What is that?
There's almost completely copy characters from Warcraft, just in a stylized, cartoonish chibi look. You've got Sylvanas, Gul'dan, Grom Hellscream,
It's the same name. It's literally Vanessa Van Cleef. This
a
one
whole
is
host
literally
of chibi
Jaina.
look.
Hellstream Stormwind King. They didn't even bother changing that. It's not, bro, it's not Shameless, it's despicable. They just copied the whole thing. Horde Alliance. What? What do you mean doesn't look familiar? It's literally the game.
Got Sylvanas, Gul'dan, Grom Hellscream, and a whole host of other characters. What's more, the developers didn't even hide the fact that they ripped off Warcraft characters. In the hero selection menu, the stolen characters were named
played many of
exactly as
those?
they are
Damn.
in World of Warcraft, with full compliance to their names and even bits of their lore. Varian Rin was still the king of Stormwind, Gul'dan was a dark warlock wielding fell magic, and so on. This clone didn't last long. Blizzard, through the Chinese Warcraft publisher
they got him.
NetEase, filed a lawsuit against them, which quickly led to the game being shut down. But the most outrageous nerve belonged to another game that became a triple clone, Dota Legends. This was a mobile game with gameplay that isn't particularly interesting in the context of this video. The characters and locations were also copied from Warcraft, maybe slightly less blatantly compared to the previous game, but enough that you could easily spot Jaina, the Lich King, Illidan, Gul'dan, and other characters. This naturally drew Blizzard's wrath and led to another lawsuit. By the way, Valve joined the action as well, unhappy that some Chinese game was using the word Dota in its title, clearly trying to ride the coattails of their game's popularity. So they filed a lawsuit against—
How dare you use my IP that the fans created for me? How dare you use that? I bet that's what Gaben thought to himself. But to be fair, he was smart enough to actually buy that. So yeah, it is what it is. But yo, it's fun. Like everybody joined on the party. Like that's great.
the developers too. Likely for this reason, the developers later changed the game's title. You know what the funniest part of this company's story is? Their own game got stolen. Another company, seeing that Dota Legends was gaining popularity, decided to copy their project one-to-one. The creators of Dota Legends, finding out about their clone, sued them for plagiarism and copyright infringement. The games were literally identical, almost the exact same interface, same characters, same mechanics.
You notice how everyone, whenever they plagiarize from Blizzard, they take every single thing except the story? Because I've noticed that. And I'm really starting to wonder why.
Fonts, effects, abilities, everything was identical, except maybe a timer was placed on the right instead of the left. Can you imagine the sheer audacity of these developers? It was literally, how dare you steal from me? I stole it first, that's unfair. I'm suing you for plagiarism. It's a clone of a clone that stole characters from another game. But while these games, derivative as they were, at least offered players gameplay that differed from Blizzard's titles while using familiar characters.
It's like the Spider-Man meme, everyone pointing on each other and everything is a clone.
In the early 2010s, Hearthstone was under active development, a new game based on Warcraft characters. Blizzard was heavily investing resources into the project and had high hopes for it. But suddenly, a Chinese clone called The Legend of the Crouching Dragon appeared, copying the game almost
The Legend of the Hearthstone. Oh, wow.
Down to its foundation.
I don't even know what's the original.
The exact same card mechanics, the exact same interface, design, and buttons. My god, they even styled their logo after the actual Hearthstone logo. The only difference was that the creators of this Hearthstone clone decided not to steal the characters like previous developers did, modestly limiting themselves to stealing everything else. So the card and hero artwork actually look different. And on the game board, instead of Warcraft decorations, there were random elements from Chinese culture. The story of this clone didn't end well either. NetEase launched legal proceedings against them, which ultimately led to the Hearthstone clone being shut down. Nevertheless, clones like these were everywhere in China. It's simply impossible to list them all. For the most part, they were completely derivative and just tried to cash in on a sliver of popularity off the backs of characters and mechanics created by Blizzard.
Wow. Dude, I did not expect that. I actually did. What a great video. First, I'm going to link you guys, obviously, so you can watch it for yourself. Give it a like, but God bless, I did not expect it to be this big. I had no idea what... I always knew WoW was really big in China. I always knew that. I didn't know it was to this length. I guess that's why Blizzard is just really, really trying their best to stay on good terms with him. Which obviously makes sense. I'm glad more people are enjoying World of Warcraft, but... brother, I had no idea it's that big over there. That actually opened my eyes a little bit more. This is very, very interesting. They had very heavy cash rewards for, top raiders. And they had all of these clones trying to hop off and piggyback off Blizzard IP. So, it makes complete sense that Blizzard, who obviously likes to sue anyone for plagiarism, would want great connections with NetEase because they want NetEase to sue by proxy. So, it makes total sense. I get that now. China's biggest game, Honor of Kings, is a copy too? Really? I never heard... I heard about the game, I never checked it out, obviously. Damn, that's interesting. We need to find out more. I feel like we only scratched the surface. Maybe on another day we can do a little bit more of a deep dive into it. That was very good for now.